Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3. And I'm here with a brand new episode, part 6 of What If Naruto Was half Viltrumite and half Kryptonian. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs over the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 4 of them, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out, and yeah, enjoy. And don't forget to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you guys. And turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now, guys. So the last time that we left off, Danzo was thinking about his recent encounter with the son of Minato. As it was on top of his head since that day, he could not forget about it. It was the most important thing that he had to focus on now. The unreal strength and power that that boy possessed was just so immaculate that Danzo himself was shocked. And he wanted to do something about it, but it was hard to make a move against a boy. The thing was, even if he were to threaten to expose a boy, Minato would believe his son 100 times over than believe Danzo in the slightest. Not that Danzo would ever do something like that. He now started to see who has been causing chaos. There has been several underground dealings that he has been involved in. Buildings has been toppled. Minor collaborations that he has been getting himself involved in. All members have been found dead in the most gruesomest way possible. It was as if the person wanted them to feel pain. And now Danzo knew exactly who was behind this all. However, he had to find a way to get the boy under his side, mostly under his control. He had to find a way to control that ridiculous amount of power, because as of now the boy was a walking bomb that he needed to rein in. But how could he rein something like that in, he thought, trying to find a weakness that the boy has that he can, well, utilize to put him down, or to make him do his bidding. While that was going on, Naruto was talking amongst himself. He has been visiting his new friend Lucy on several occasions. The both of them has gotten close due to Naruto's ability to fly, and visit her whenever he wanted. However, at the moment, Hana came up to him. Naruto was currently going towards Kumo for the Chunin exams. He was going there at solo level, while Hana and her team, comprised of Katetsu and Aizen, was going there as well. There was another Konoha team as well, but he did not know the members. Hana wanted to know if the rumors were true. There has been rumors and speculations about Naruto, his unbelievable power and strength. A friend of hers had went on a mission with him. She thought he graduated because he was Hokage's son and he was getting special perks, but she realized that Hokage would not send his son into danger unless he knew he could protect himself. As Naruto offered her to punch him, she did, and her hand hurt. Granted, she did not use it in chakra, but still, that was beyond surprising. It did not take them too long, as they made their way towards the village. After signing in, they were able to explore the village as they made their way inside. People were looking at them from all over. It did not take too long for Hana to ask her sensei if she can make her way out, which she did as she took Naruto with her. Both her and Naruto went to explore the village to see the difference between it and Konoha, and there was a lot. Kumo was extremely different. Naruto figured that the person that was following him would come out soon enough because he felt them following him for some time now. As they finally emerged, it turns out that news had already spread more than Naruto expected. Kurosaki, granddaughter of the Tishikage, was here to confirm it as she looked towards him. However, there was nothing that she could say to beat Naruto in a battle of words. As he gestured on her physical appearance, in terms of her flat chest and not to mention her being weak, considering that she was calling him a loser and all that. It pissed her off so much she almost attacked him. She was a person that get too angry most time and did irrational stuff. She warned him that when she found him in the exam she was gonna make him pay. When she got back with her team, she told them that they were gonna find him first and make him suffer in the exams. It did not take too long for the exams to begin. Upon the day of arriving there, Naruto noticed something was wrong. Genjutsu can mess with him, but he had a way of fixing that. His hearing, and not to mention sense, allow him to snap out of it as he slammed both hands on his head, causing him to feel the pain that was outside and realize it was a trick. Once they were able to get through, all the children that fall for the Genjutsu were immediately disqualified, as they could not, pass the first round, so they would not go any further in the slightest. With that over, they were gathered by the Jonin that was going to be their first proctor. Their second test was to gather a flag. Yes, by any means necessary. They would go through and try to get the flag. If they failed to get back a flag by the time is up, 1 hour to be exact, they will be disqualified. There was no if or buts, it was rather easy. As Naruto decided to form a comradeship with Hana and her team for now, given the fact that they weren't against each other, this was they could help each other. So with that, they moved off, as Naruto surprised them when he took to the skies. Most of the others were rather shocked, as they could not keep up. Some tried to take him down with jutsus, but he was too high for them. As they arrived, Naruto got his 2 flag because he had no risk on this, and they were trying to make it a bit more difficult for him because he was a solo person here. Arriving back towards the area, Naruto noticed something. After a time, the second team to arrive was that girl that he noticed. She was from Kumo, something was special about her. As she was looking at him as well as their eyes met, that is when Naruto noticed her necklace. It was made out of the green rock that caused him pain. Now that was bothersome, as someone had that rock that made him feel pain. This wasn't going to be good. We then skip towards Thrag, the father of Naruto, who has been searching for him. Because of the virus, majority of the Viltrumite had been wiped out, so Thrag could not afford to send most of them on the hunt. That is why he decided to use his children. Turns out that Thrag had a bunch of children. However, the reason why he was so interested in Naruto was because he had faked being ill and found out about the kryptonians. The mixture of Viltrumite and kryptonian could create a race of unbreakable soldiers, and he wanted Naruto's DNA to try to create an army, a powerful army where he can easily use it to dominate the entire universe without stop. That is why he needed Naruto, that is why he was coming after him so much, seeing that he had so much kids, as he sent them out with the job of finding their brother and bringing him back by any means necessary. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play, check the yourself. So to begin this new episode, we begin this episode with Naruto as he walked through a rather dark cave. He glanced around as he continued to walk. After passing the second test, which was to retrieve the flag, they now had a third test. The second test of retrieving the flag was the first person that retrieved the flag was the first to enter the cave. This place was massive. It was a cave / mountain. It was kind of a maze. This test was 2-in-1 to be exact. It was kind of a written test with theories and a survival test as well. Their goal was to escape this underground labyrinth within the next 3 days. If 3 days passed, they were disqualified. Naruto looked down in his hand, where he had the flag that he had got. It was almost like they were trying to make it difficult for him. He got 2 flags, so why was he given one to enter? The thing was, there was no searching of flags in here. However, anyone can destroy anyone's flag. If you were to destroy your opponent team flag, they wouldn't be able to go through the maze anymore. They will be instantly disqualified. This was teaching them, upon becoming a chunin, one must learn to adapt to certain environment and understand, and try to forage. They were all taught this in the academy. It didn't matter which village they were from. On the walls there were certain riddles. There were certain tricks for them to get out of here. And the flag was the objective that they were given. For example, given something on a mission to protect. If they lost it, if it was destroyed, they were instantly disqualified. They were all given rations before coming inside, and small bottles of water. It wasn't much. This was another example of being a chunin. The supplies that you had is what you had to use. They had limited amount of shurikens, limited amount of kunais. And they had to stay near and use everything they had. Once they run out, they were screwed. Well, for most of them though. There were several individuals that had hyper senses that they could use to get out of here. Certain members with certain animals. Not to mention Hannah with her dogs. Their nose would be a big help in this. Naruto looked up as he focused as he saw Hannah and her team making their way. They had rested some moments ago. He could see them. His X-ray vision could look through everything in here. He was the first one to enter because he was the first one to bring back his flag. After that, Hannah and her team. After that, the Kumo team. That made Naruto thought about that girl. He did not know her name. She had dull blonde hair. She also had the necklace around her neck. It seems like someone had carved a gem out of the green rock and gave it to her. That was a problem because that rock caused him pain. It didn't matter the size, but he was sure that a larger quantity would cause him more extreme pain. For now, all he had to do was get through this. As Naruto calmly walked, there was no need for him to worry. After all, he could already tell where he needed to go. However, it seems like many individuals want to kill him. Yes, and that was no joke. He saw several teams that were discussing his fate. He found it rather amusing. They believed that they could take him down. The girl from the Hidden Stone truly hated him. She wanted to crush him with all of her might. There were also several teams that wished to take him down as well. Many of them believing that he was some cocky little shit because he was a solo team and he was only one person. Not to mention when he flew over their head. That truly pissed them off. But he could care less about their opinion as he walked, hands in his pockets. He was checking on Hannah and her team to make sure that they were okay. They would reach the entrance soon enough. Her and her dogs were making great strive in reaching their destination. As they were moving along, a team from the Hidden Rain came out and attacked them. Naruto watched as Hannah, Katetsu and Izumo face off against a team. That is when he saw one of the members created a water clone to take his spot while he made his way around to ambush them. He had a strange umbrella in his hand. Because of the size of the place, if he were to release the umbrella, all the Senmons inside would hit their target, which was Hannah and her team. They wouldn't be able to dodge all of them in such a small place. And the other two were keeping their guard to not let them pass. Naruto looked around before he spotted something. He picked up a rock before. He compressed it. He applied pressure and pressed it down until it was small enough. He then used his finger to smooth it over and curve it. He then pulled his hand back. He then clenched his feet into the ground before he threw. The rock teared through the wall, tearing through all the opposite walls that were ahead of it. Meanwhile, Hannah and her team were currently taking the two members out. The first one had turned into water when her dog had bit into him. It was a water clone. So where was the real one? Snapping their head around Hannah, and her dogs picked up something. "Behind you," she yelled to Katetsu and Izumo. The guy smirked. "Got you now," he said as he raised the umbrella. He was about to release a rain of chaos upon them until something slammed into his head. And he was slammed into the wall. He was out cold. Seeing the opportunity, Hannah leaped, flipping over the other two. The moment she landed, it was a distraction as she smirked. "You shouldn't take your eyes off all of us." The other two turned only for Katetsu and Izumo to plant a brutal kick in their face as their heads smashed together as they passed out. Katetsu smirked. "Whoa, that was close," he said. Why didn't you pick up on his scent? Hannah walked over as she sniffed the guy. That is when she pulled out a bottle from his clothing. What is that stuff? Izumo asked. Hannah sniffed it as she covered her nose. I don't know, but it's all over the place. This is what he used to hide his scent away from me. It seems like they've been watching us for some time now, and they came up with this plan. Hey, what's that? Izumo said. What? The other two asked. Turning their head, they saw a hole in the wall. They looked toward each other rather confused, wondering what made that hole in the wall. Meanwhile, with Naruto, realizing that they finished what they were doing, as he watches they made their way off, he calmly walked as he stepped into a large open area. The moment he stepped inside, he noticed there was something on the ground. He said nothing though as he walked into the center and stopped. There were several boulders around him. That is when they came out of their hiding spots. Ninjas from the hidden stone. As it was 2 teams. 6 of them in total. Naruto noticed that the girl was not amongst them. Oh, I see now, he said, as he wasn't looking at any of them. She gave you all one goal, and that is to kill me. So I guess this Kurosaki, said Naruto as he remembered her name, is the leader of you all. Shut your mouth, you tree hugger. One of them shouted at him. He was the tallest of the group. He seemed to be the leader of Group A. Group B, a shorter boy, stepped forward. He was much bulkier with black eyes. Black hair as well. A large grin on his face. The taller one spoke. We figured that we would take out majority of the teams, so it won't be a hassle in the end to face off against a bunch of weaklings, but looky what we were given instead. The one that we seek to destroy in the first place. Yeah, you said it, the shorter one said with a grin. You have no idea how happy we are right now. The taller one smirked. To believe, the son of the 4th Hokage is right in our palms. We can finally get revenge for all the things that your father has done. We can make him suffer by ending your life. As Naruto looked at them, they were all older than him, by around 5 years. Is that so? He said. Tell me something. How does my father stopping a war affect any of you? Shut your mouth, you monster! One of the girls on the team shouted on Team B. Your father is a monster. He killed so much people. You deserve to die. Oh, I do, said Naruto. Let me ask you this. What about all the people that your village killed? What about all the Konoha ninjas that die? As the girl glared at him. Yeah, you want to talk about death? You don't hear us whining like some little bitch about my father killing your people. The taller one pulled out a staff as he slammed it into the earth. He started to send earth shocker through it as they start to mold. The earth rose up around and created a spike at the end. He pointed at Naruto. We're not here to justify our actions to you. The only thing that we seek is your death. He then smirked, and you walk right into it. As Naruto looked down, suddenly the ground started to glow and boom! An explosion went off as Naruto was right in the middle. All of them jumped back. They all came out once. The dust and smoke started to blow away, expecting to see him there on the ground, in pieces. The shorter one blinked in shock. Where is he? The taller one was confused. No way. He couldn't have gotten away. Unless panic started to run through him as he wondered, could this boy know his father's technique? That damn technique. The one that was so feared, the Hiroshin. No, that's not possible. He's a dumb, stupid kid. But Minato was his father. Panic started to course through him. If that was the case, looking for me. He froze, but instincts kicked in a moment later as he swung his staff around, only for Naruto's hand to grab it. The stone smashing against his hand and breaking off in pieces. Naruto gripped into it and tear the stone off. He then bent the metal, completely twisting it off, shocking the guy. The other one beside him plunged his hand into the earth. Earth surrounded his fist as he slammed it into Naruto's guts and one into his chest. He then drove it under Naruto's chin as Naruto's head snapped upwards. He then jumped. He was about to slam his fist into Naruto's face until Naruto's eyes were looking at him. They weren't even close. Naruto's eyes turned red and blasted a stone off his hand, causing him to fall out of the sky. Before he could drop though, Naruto sunk his heel into his chest. Blood and spit escaped out of his mouth as he was thrown. He slammed against the ground before he slammed into the wall. Unconscious or dead, it was unknown. The girl jumped away as she quickly reached behind her and pulled out a scroll. Upon doing that, several explosive tags were released. As Naruto blew, her eyes went wide as they exploded upon her. The guy with the staff backed away in utter shock. He couldn't believe it, only for the shorter one to run past him, Earth style. Volley of death! He slammed his hand down in a small radius. Rocks erupted from the ground. They tried to pierce Naruto, who clapped his hand and blew them all away, the force shocking and blowing away all four of them. The four of them slowly grunted as they tried to get to their feet. As Naruto stepped forward, he stepped through the smoke. At first, all they saw was his red eyes, coming towards them. The fear of coming started to go through them, as they could not believe it. At first, they thought they had this handled, but now, one of the ones at the back, the girl that had shouted at Naruto, weaved through Hansen as she tried to place him under a genjutsu. "I have him," she said. "Kill him now!" As the other member of the shorter one group shot forward, kunai in hand, he tried to pierce Naruto's chest, only for Naruto's eyes to snap open. Naruto gripped his wrist before he could even reach him and yanked him forward. Naruto pulled the guy right into him and wrapped both of his arms around him before he squeezed. A cracking sound could be heard as Naruto dropped him to the ground. As the agonizing pain, the girl was now sweating and panicking. The other two was not doing any better. He looked towards his shorter companion as both of them went through hand sign, using up a great deal of their chakra, trying the same technique over again as spikes erupted from the ground, but this time they were larger and in a much wider radius, only for Naruto to lift his leg up and slammed it down. The force shattered all of them as the ground cracked underneath him. He then flew forward at blinding speed and appeared right between the three of them. Before they could move, he spun, the force blasting them all away. The girl slammed into the wall head first as she passed out. The shorter one crashed into the corner as Naruto fired lasers from his eyes, but not at him. The stones above gave way as they crashed upon him head first. The taller one got up, spitting out blood as he did. How? He said. "What are you?" Panic, fear written all over his face. "Me?" said Naruto. "I am the one that you shouldn't have waited for." He reached behind him. "You're gonna kill me, aren't you?" he said. "Why do you ask? A moment ago you were threatening to do the same thing to me. What? Do you think you deserve pity? Do you think you deserve some sort of recollection to change your actions?" However, he smirked at Naruto. "No. I was just thinking, I'll take you out as well." He jumped forward as he grabbed Naruto. "I'll die in honor, being the one to kill the Fortakage's son." That is when Naruto noticed a line of explosives that he had reached and taken out from behind him. There was a lot of them. Naruto broke out of his hole in a span of a fraction of a second before he exhaled cold breath on his hand, freezing both his hands and the explosives. He screamed out in agonizing pain as his hands were frozen, completely solid, only for the bombs to go off. The ice exploded, taking his hands with it as well. He collapsed down to the ground crying in agonizing pain, bleeding out. "I suppose that is punishment enough," said Naruto. "Besides, if you do survive." Naruto leaned down and whispered something into his ear before he got up and started to walk away. However, he came to a stop as he saw that same girl. From the beginning, she had the necklace with the strange rock on it. She was looking over the place until her eyes focused on him. She looked him up and down. Her voice was calm despite what she was seeing. Naruto Namikaze, she said. Yeah, that's my name, said Naruto. Who are you? I'm Yujito, she said to him. Quite the work you have done here, huh? As she looked around at all the destruction and the members that were lying in a broken mess. Quite the ruthless one, aren't you? What can I say? They started it, said Naruto. I would assume that much, given their hatred of you, and they desire your death. I heard a lot about you. You're stronger than most. But so am I. I'm looking forward to beating you in the finals. Beating me, said Naruto. Exactly, she said. I did not stutter, did I? No, you didn't. You just seem to have a wild imagination that you're going to win. Oh, I will win, she said. I will take you down. Why don't we settle that here right now, said Naruto. No, she said. This is no place for us to fight. I want to defeat you in front of everyone. That is where I will take you down, she said to him before she turned her back. Until then, as she simply walked away, Naruto would attack her, but he didn't want her to know that that rocker on her neck caused him to get weak. Although, it would take some time before she figured that out. The problem was, he liked her style. She was confident. A bit cocky, but it was like him. She did not say if she will win, but when she will. However, he doubted that. The kryptonite would be a problem, but he would find a way around it. After all, his ability allowed him to fight in far distance. But he could tell that she was special. She was no normal kunoichi. And a part of him was actually getting excited to fight her. It's been a long time since he had some true fun fighting someone. The last time he had fun fighting someone was when he was facing off against his father. Since then, all he's been doing is doing his job as a ninja, and as a person of Konoha to protect it. And that ended in ruthless slaughter. Just like this. As Naruto calmly walked away from the scene, making his way off. Meanwhile, at the entrance, a Jonin kunoichi from Kumo was currently resting on top of a higher platform looking down. As so far there has been no one yet. However, she was not surprised. The record for this maze was set by their current Raikage a few years back, and no one has broke it since. Before that, it was his father that set the record when he was the one to break it and take the new reins as the fastest one to override and take through the tunnels. This place was large. If you end up getting lost, you could go high up as possible and not find your way out for days, possibly weeks. So she wasn't surprised. There was a few others writing up a few things. However, she was quite interested in this Naruto Namikaze. She's been hearing a lot about him since he first popped up here. It was said that he aced the second exam by flying over everyone, that his speed was ridiculous. It was said that he wasn't ordinary. Given the fact that he was the son of Minato Namikaze, she supposed that she should not be surprised. It did not take too long for her to hear something. Looking down, she saw someone. She was rather shocked as she saw him. That was him. The Konoha headband was a dead giveaway. Black and blonde hair. That was him, the Namikaze child. She jumped down. Naruto looked up towards the woman as she was silent for a while, until she asked, "Flag." As Naruto pulled out said flag and gave it to her, she inspected until she put it away. She pulled the clipboard and told him to write his name. Once that was done, she pointed towards the waiting area. This one was built inside of a mountain. As Naruto nodded before he walked off, she was shocked there was not even a scratch on him. He looked undisturbed, like he was just merely messing around in there. She went back over to sit down, as the others watched. "Holy shit," one of them said. "That's him, right? The Namikaze kid." "Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But look at him. There's not even a scratch on him. Yeah, I thought at least there would be some bruise or something, but for him to come this early and be completely fine. The Raikage will want to know about this. Sometime later, Yujito and her team came out. As they were relatively fine as well, their flag was intact. The third team to exit was Hana and her team, followed by the Stone team, and a few others. Many of them had gotten lost or their flags had been destroyed, so they would not be able to exit the cave. Meanwhile, as Naruto was relaxing, he was on top of the tower instead of going inside. He had a few days, there was food and accommodations inside, where they can rest up. As Naruto was enjoying the beautiful sun beaming down on him, because of the height of the mountain, the sun was much more effective. Naturally, it was always effective, but he loved the rays shining down on him. There was no cloud. They were so high up. It wasn't too long that Hana and her team arrived. Hana told him about the peculiar thing that happened inside, where a stone came out of nowhere to nail one of the guys in the side of his head, allowing them safe passageway. As Naruto acted like he did not even know what he was talking about. With that, the remainder days were not that interesting. There wasn't much to do here. Wasn't much to talk about. So with that, time passed rather quickly. Once the day finally arrived, they were all gathered inside of a large open space so they could discuss the coming activities for the future. It was the first time that Naruto was seeing the Raikage. The man was large. Yes, he was massive. He was not alone though. He was with a younger person that looked like him as well. However, this one was wearing shades. He was also slowly talking to himself. As Naruto listening, he realized that the guy was singing really weirdly, as he never heard someone sing like that before. The Raikage turned towards him and gave him a glare, which made him shut up. He stepped forward and cleared his throat. "Congratulations to all of you that have passed today," he said. "You've done your teachers and your village proud, because you show that you have what it takes to go to the finals. You should be proud. However, do not celebrate just as yet, because it is not over. In 2 weeks, the finals begin. You will have no prior knowledge on what the finals is and how it will take place. Going on a mission, you never know what can happen or what can change. So yes, you will go into this blind and unprepared. So that means you should be prepared for anything by training and getting yourself prepared. If you think that you're not up to this, you do not deserve the rank of Chunin. Otherwise, you're just gonna go out there and get all of your comrades killed." His voice was rough and gruff. However, there was some truth behind his words. A lot of truth behind his words, to be quite exact. So you have 2 weeks to prepare, and make sure you come ready to make everyone see that you represent your village well. That is all, he said, dismissing all of them. He did not seem to be a man who talked for too long, as he just dismissed them all after that and left. Hana looked towards Naruto, who shrugged as they walked out to see their sensei waiting for them. They were there at the entrance, listening in. Kakashi asked, "So, how was it?" "From a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 4, said Naruto. Kakashi sighed with a small chuckle. Naruto was the only person that would have gone in that exam and give it a ratings. But he supposed by now, he shouldn't be surprised given who he was. With that, they had 2 weeks. The group were heading back to Konoha as Naruto noticed the Kunoichi from the Hidden Stone, the glare that she was giving him. He decided to make matters much worse, as he stuck his tongue out at her. Yes, a childish thing to do, but if you would remember, Naruto was 10 years old. Despite all the things that he's done, he was simply a child same way. So with that, they made their way. Hana was excited. Kitetsu and Izumo could not believe that they had made it this far. As for the other Konoha team, they failed. Well, it was their fault. They should have joined them. Granted, they did not do much in the middle, but Naruto still helped them by throwing that stone, but he did not say anything about it though. It took them a couple days to get back to Konoha. The time was not much and there was only 2 weeks. However, they returned back. There is no doubt that people would be dying to hear what happened there. People were actually waiting on them to hear their results. Well, mostly him. As Naruto made sure to drag the other 3 into it, to show that they all passed as well. The younger brother of Hana was there as well. His name was Kiba if Naruto remember correctly, as he heard his sister talking about him before. As for his sister, she crashed right into him as she hugged him, happy that he was back. They were discussing the possibility of her coming to watch the finals, given the fact that it was a huge display and her father and mother was going, so she must go. Kushina decided to tease her a bit, saying that she wasn't going to go, as Naruto and Minato would tag along on that. It is that day that they were able to see the full wrath of Uzumaki. She almost lost it. Her hair stood up just like Kushina when she got angry. It was almost like she was going to fight them all for the privilege to go there. She has been training within the academy, and not to mention, she has been secretly practicing with her brother, so she was a lot stronger than many know. Itachi also congratulated Naruto as well, and several more important people. They were going to be coming there to watch the event. It wasn't too long before Naruto received a letter. It was stamped from the daimyo, but the person that wrote it was none other than Lucy. A smile came on Naruto's face. She was going to be there along with her grandfather to watch a match. Her mother will be there as well to see him take down all of the other ninjas. As she wrote it, she sounded so excited, as Naruto felt a smile. A happy smile spread on his face as well. Time skip. Orochimaru was panicking as he grabbed a special breather that allowed one to breathe underwater, but on the side there was 4 canisters. They were small. Inside of them was a green liquid, as he was able to melt down the rock that he had found. The only weakness that this monster was afraid of. So far everything was going good. The boy was as loyal as ever, seeing Orochimaru as his father doing what he says. However, recently there was a skirmish that he got caught up in. Orochimaru was not fully given the information in detail. What he knew though was that he went full doomsday, and he went off, terrorizing and destroying everything. That is where Orochimaru came back, finding the only thing that could stop him. The bad part was he had to get it around his face, which would be more difficult than ever. The thing was, the more he grew, the stronger he got. He was much weaker back when he first transformed, but now he was getting stronger and stronger. He was nowhere near his full potential. Orochimaru could see that, as he believed that in a couple of years his strength would be truly invincible and no one would be able to stop him. Absolutely no one. However, tonight there was a problem. There was a few days until the exam, as Naruto decided to venture a bit more out, where he came across a small town. He had to deal with a few bandits that were planning to rob said town. Once he dealt with them, he intended to leave until he heard a scream. Naruto decided to go and investigate to find out what was going on. It was the dead of night. He was wearing his suit. What Naruto arrived to see was a girl. She was trying to run, but she tripped. Something burst out of the foliage. A monster. He was out of the Fire Nation border, as he adventured out a bit further than usual, passing several border types and cut off, dodging shinobis from left to right. Naruto saw something that was rather shocking. It was a giant, overwhelming beast. It was far taller than him. Its body was a mixture of several different dark colors. The moment it locked eyes with him though, a sense of recollection seemed to snap into its head. Kryptonian, it said. Its voice was monster-like and gurgled, but Naruto heard it clear. Naruto clenched his fist as the both of them flew forward as he felt the instinct. He knew that it would move. Their fists clashed together. The girl screamed as she was thrown by the force. Luckily, she crashed into the bushes, but it was still extremely painful. But at least she was not dead. Naruto was shocked as he felt his fist being pushed back. The thing dropped its other fist on him. As Naruto raised his hand and caught it, the ground underneath him exploded. Both of his knees slammed into the ground. Naruto was baffled as the thing raised his leg and slammed into his face. It's been a long time since he felt such pain. Blood exploded out of his mouth. He was launched, bursting through several trees as he destroyed the land. His body stopped into a trench, only to look up to see the monster. Boom! The thing crashed into his chest. Its feet was so large that it was able to completely cover his chest. It leaped up in the sky once more before crashing down, causing Naruto to scream as he felt several of his bones crack and break. It then grabbed him by the face and lifted him up and bashed him across the ground. Naruto's body was motionless. The monster then gripped him by the throat and started to squeeze and pull him closer, its horrendous breath reaching his nose. Only for Naruto to snap open his eyes and fire his laser beam right into its eyes, causing him to stagger back as it gripped his face and screamed, dropping Naruto. Naruto keeled over as he coughed up blood. He was shocked. What the hell is this thing? Slowly but surely he picked himself up, rage in his eyes now as he leaped. He slammed his fist into the back of its head. It was sent sailing. Naruto sped forward and grabbed it and lifted it up, ignoring the pain in his chest as he dropped it into the earth. He did not stop there though, as he picked it out of the crater and swung and swung and swung before he launched it into the sky. Bending his knees, Naruto fired himself into the sky like a bullet, only for Doomsday to ride himself. Its eyes started to glow red and fire. Heat vision just like Naruto. Naruto was caught off guard by that, as it knocked him away. The thing then dropped. As Naruto saw it coming, he stopped himself in mid-air. He turned and drove his fist forward. So did Doomsday as their fists collided, firing off a huge shockwave. However, Naruto was backhanded by the other hand. He crashed in the ground, his leg was grabbed. Doomsday raised him and smashed him into the earth, over and over and over again. Naruto felt several bones in his body breaking. He was getting weaker and weaker as it pounded down on him. It smashed and threw him before grabbing him by the face. It then ran Naruto's body straight through the earth, tearing his face across it. It then threw him. Naruto crashed rather hard, creating a huge impact. He couldn't even pick himself up. Only 4 beams of lasers that smashed right into him, sending him crashing into the earth. The small mountainside that was over a ravine started to crack. As Naruto lay there motionless, the monster started to emerge upon him. Naruto clenched his fists, putting all the strength that he had in his fists as he clenched it tight. When Doomsday was upon him, Naruto shot his hand up. Doomsday's head was snapped back with tremendous force, forcing him to look up into the sky. As he was blasted away, he crashed incredibly hard, only for the ground under Naruto to cave way. As Naruto fell, he slammed into the water. As for Doomsday, the fist had severely twisted his jaw. Blood was leaking from his mouth, but it was still getting up, only for Orochimaru to arrive and place the thing over its mouth, pumping the gas into its system. It screamed and grabbed him and threw him. Orochimaru was sent sailing before he crashed on the ground. However, all the kryptonite was pumped into his system, going through his nose, eyes, and mouth, before he collapsed, face first, unconscious. Slowly but surely his body started to revert back to his human form. Orochimaru was confused as he looked around at all the destruction. Did he alone cause this, he thought to himself. Something else was here. His years of experience told him that the monster was fighting something, but Orochimaru was shocked. Who was that person? Granted, Doomsday was nowhere near his full potential, But he was strong and fast as well. Orochimaru then noticed a scorch mark on the earth, stepping towards a broken cliff. Something was here, he thought to himself. However, this ought to draw a lot of attention. He had to get the boy out of here and back to the base. He had slaughtered so many in his escape. He had to get rid of the bodies. That is when he noticed a girl, unconscious. Maybe she saw what happened, as the Sannin took her with him. As the two most powerful, well, soon to be, creatures on this planet that just threw down. However, Naruto stood no chance. Doomsday was still nowhere near his peak. After all, the boy that he reverted back to was just 11 years old, give or take. Given the fact that he did not come to this planet as an infant, he was stronger than Naruto. Well, for now. However, there is no telling with Doomsday and his strength. The more he fought, the more he adapted. He never had heat vision before, but fighting Naruto allowed him to adapt to the ability. And whoever he fought, he was bound to win when he fight them again because he will adapt to their strength and surpass them. However, under the Yellow Sun, there is said to be no limit to a kryptonian strength. In that moment, Naruto had powered everything into his fist and slammed it into Doomsday's chin. Granted, it only twisted his chin slightly, but it still was enough to knock him away, and Naruto was showing great feats for a 10-year-old child. Not to mention his Viltrumite side that empowers Kryptonian side, making him reach heights that were never to be reached by a simple Kryptonian, even under the Yellow Sun. But tonight, though, he suffered a defeat that he never yet felt before. Throughout his growth, whenever he stepped into a battle that he knew will end up in blood, he always came out on top. But this defeat was something that he never felt before. He had several broken bones, a shocking feat to be done to him, given how strong his body was. Granted, there was a few things in this world that could damage him at full power. While Naruto was strong, he had not faced a Kage at full power yet. But there was still the, well, little side note that he was 10 years old. At the moment though, a few hours passed. The sun rays were currently shining out, slowly peeking over the horizon, when a gasp could be heard as Naruto pulled himself out of the water, drawing himself toward the shore. As Naruto lay there panting, however, the suit that was made perfectly for him started to heat up, as the wetness started to quickly vanish away. But Naruto was still in pain. His body was still not fully recovered. He's never suffered a beating like that before. This was the first time in his life that he felt such pain. The first time that he was actually crushed hard. Because of his power, it came with a sense of superiority and cockiness. However, this little feat had humbled him, to make him see that he was not invincible as he thought. He was not focusing on the fact that he was still young or the monster was, well, a monster. The only thing he saw that he was not invincible. He could be defeated. If the battle had lasted much longer, the monster would have crushed him completely. The blows that it gave him was much stronger than his. He pumped everything that he had left after that savage defeat into his fist, and yet the thing had gotten back up. Its face barely twisted. He was trying to take its head off, but he failed to do so. As he coughed, pulling himself up, he held on to his stomach and his chest area, which were suffering from the most pain. Looking under, his chest was bruised up, his stomach was as well, his arm and back as well. He looked up towards the sky, before he started to float, slowly at first until he flies straight up, going as far as he could without leaving the earth atmosphere. The rays of the sunshine started to bathe down on him. As he started to soak it in, it was healing his wounds, until he snapped his eyes open. Shit, I have to get back home, he thought to himself. With that, he flew off, as fast as he could go, as he could not let them know that he's been sneaking out at night, doing these vigilante stuff. It was a good thing that his clothing protect what he was wearing underneath, his short-sleeved black shirt, and his grey pants. As Naruto landed in the yard, he was not sure if his father had checked upon him. He was aware that his father was awake by now. He could hear him. That is when he heard his mother, as she opened his window. "Ah, Naruto, there you are. Where have you been? And when did you get up?" she asked, as she was looking down towards him. "Oh, about an hour ago. I wanted to see the sunrise." Kushina smiled at him. "Oh, well, come on and get some breakfast," she said to him. "Be right there, Mom," said Naruto. He hated lying to his mother, but he had to. What was he going to tell her, that he snuck out and fight a monster that was able to cause him so much pain? He could not even tell his father that there was a threat this big and so close. How would he know of that threat? He will just have to wait it out. What if it came here searching for him? It knew that he was a Kryptonian. How? Was that thing connected to him? He thought to himself. Damn it. He wished there was more things that his mother left behind for him. Given the fact that she had stolen the ship that was meant for someone else. Given the fact that his mother was not exactly the side of, well, Jarrell, who more likely had the technologies to explain more and have a longer rate of him staying in contact with his mother. He wouldn't have that. It was just the one time that he got to see her, and he just knew the bare minimum about himself. But that monster knew that he was a Kryptonian, so there was no doubt it was. Mixed up in all of this, it was his job, no one else. Naruto clenched his fist. It was his job to fight and kill it, he thought to himself. But he will have to be stronger. Much more stronger, he thought. He didn't know why, but he could feel a strange, tingling sensation that it was also getting stronger as well, just like him. He will just have to become stronger than it. The next time they fought, he has to win, he told himself. As he made his way up, he had to make sure he did not show any weakness to indicate the fact that he was injured. Time skip. Naruto and Kakashi and Hana and her team and Genma had to make their way out early. They had made their way before the delegation, that being his father and the other daimyos and Kage as such. Naruto was not sure if the third Tsuchikage and his father has been in a room before, because while his father was fighting in the war, they never had to meet, because they did not fight each other, not to mention. The third Hokage was still alive, and he was one meeting with Tsuchikage. But he wondered if the third had brought Minato, just to scare the Tsuchikage in signing the deal. He was not quite sure. But this would be rather tense, if he had to say. While that was on his mind, on the back of his mind was that monster that he faced. It could not get off his mind. He had lost to it. That was the first time that he ever lost to anything. And he could not get it out of his thoughts. Kakashi had noticed as he asked him what was wrong. As Naruto told him that everything was fine, he was just looking forward to the exam. Once they arrived, they had to wait until the next day. They signed in the day before though. The next morning, Naruto got a surprise visit from none other than Lucy. Her being someone so important, she had to be with her guards to watch over her. She instantly hugged Naruto as she pulled back with a smile. Their friendship had gotten to that level where physical contact was in between. Hugs and, well, shaking hands. They were just friends after all, as Naruto was happy to see her as well. The both of them went around Kumo as he told her what he saw so far. This was actually her first time here. He was the one to show her around despite this not being his village. Things were being set up, and the locations for the daimyo and their participants were currently being shown, so she had to go. She looked around for a few seconds before she stepped forward, surprising Naruto as she kissed him on the cheek. Naruto reached his hand up as he touched it. What was that for? She smiled at him, a bright, beaming smile. That's for good luck, she said, a small blush in her face. He was mimicking the same as well. Bye for now, she said. I'll be watching. And with that, she made her way off, walking with excellent grace for someone of her stature. As Naruto had his hands on his cheek, there was a smile on his face. For the briefest of moments, his mind was on something else other than that monster. Yes, it was. Meanwhile that was going on, Orochimaru had returned to examine the field, and there was no doubt in his mind that someone was here. He had interrogated the girl when she had woken up. She told him everything that she saw, and it wasn't much. However, there was someone else strong enough to clash against Doomsday. Now that was rather shocking. Orochimaru was not that surprised though. This child had fell from a meteor from the sky. Perhaps there was more. Orochimaru sent his best team out, which was the Sound 4 to scout their unique abilities coming into play, as they were still being tested to become his bodyguards for the future. Kimimaro was with them as well, as he sent them out to scout and try to find anything that was nearby, anything that looked suspicious, anything that they would see as weird. It didn't matter what it was, sample, blood, anything. They had returned some hours later with blood. It had dried up by then, but that did not matter. This was Naruto blood that he had coughed up. Orochimaru could not stay in the light for too long because of who he was, so his brief scout of the era was rather not thorough, but they were able to search for a bit longer. They came back with blood. One of the samples was Doomsday's and the other one was not his. Orochimaru noticed though that this one also react with the strange rock, the kryptonite. Orochimaru raised a curious eyebrow. Whatever fought him was just like him. That brought a grin to his face. He had to find it, whatever it was. More the merrier after all. Time skip. Mikoto Uchiha had a smile on her face as she looked at all the people. Beside her was her best friend Kushina Uzumaki. Right on her left side was her young son Sasuke Uchiha. Itachi was on the other side as well. They had taken some time off so they could come and watch the exam. There were several people here from Konoha that wanted to see Naruto participate. As Mikoto was sitting with Sasuke, one of her friends, as he glanced down below, "My big brother's gonna ace this," she said. They were not alone though. Inoichi Yamanaka was there as well, along with Ino. Even Hayashi was here, along with his brother Hisashi. Neji and Hinata were here as well to watch the proceedings. Hinata had been the one to beg her father, and Neji was also curious in this Naruto individual. He had heard so much things about him and he wanted to see what he was truly capable of. His younger cousin was always talking about him, about how awesome and strong that he was. Neji would like to see for his own eyes. The people up ahead were all buzzing with excitement, as there was a lot of people here from all over. There was no animosity though, as people were not focusing on battle amongst themselves today. They wanted to see the children battle, which was rather ironic. However, the most tense era was the three Kages. The three men was rather calm on the outside. Minato stood there with his guards behind him. The right Kage stood there with his brother behind him. The Tissue Kage had his guards as well. They were the three Kages that had attended. The representative of Kiri and also the San were there as well, but they were not within the booth. They were a level below. However, it was a space just for them alone. There was also some minor representative as well, for other minor nations like the Grass and others, that their leaders did not show up for. So with that, the Raikage stepped up, as all the children were gathered in the arena. He cleared his throat. "I want to welcome you all," he said, as he started to speak. Amongst her family, Lucy looked around, as she was sitting where the daimyos and the important people were. Her mother was beside her, who leaned over and whispered in her ear, "I bet you're glad to see your little friend Naruto." "Yeah, of course I am," she said, without thinking, before she blushed and turned her head towards her mother, who had this teasing grin on her face. Of course she was glad to see Naruto, but her mother always loved to tease her on these occasions. The thing was, her mother never said anything that would seem like she was teasing her, but Lucy could find it from the contents and the smirk on her mother's face. So she knew. She turned her head as she chose to ignore her. Her mother placed a hand over her mouth as she giggled herself, as she noticed all the people around. As the Raikage finished his speech, handing the reins over towards the kunoichi in the center. She was going to be the proctor of the final tests. She looked towards all of them. "Alright," she said. "None of you were told about what will happen for the finals, because it was meant to be a surprise. I hope you're all prepared because we're going to be starting with a battle royale." She yelled out, causing explosions for celebrations to go off as everyone cheered. As Sasuke glanced down there as well. Let's see what this Naruto is all about. He was always hearing about how strong he was, while Sasuke thought that his brother was the strongest and that no one could ever hope to defeat him. So he was rather curious. Unknown to the Konoha ninjas, a few root ninjas were there as well, disguised, as they were here to watch the exam. The Tsuchikage looked down there, his eyes focused on the boy. He had gotten a lot of information in the past 2 weeks about the Namikaze. His eyes glanced over towards Minato, but he said nothing. As Minato simply smiled. "Let us begin," the Raikage said. But guys, be and subscribe right here if once next person do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs of the other channels. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But I'm off and I'll see you soon. Peace.